Thank you for joining us. Today we have an edition of the Teaching Transitions podcast, in which we really dig into this empire of juicing. This is a juice empire built by Jessica Bree, and she's going to share that journey with you. Lock in with us, and you will enjoy this episode. Go ahead and do me a favor, like, share, follow, so that we can reach more people and help more entrepreneurs. Thanks. Enjoy the episode. Thank you for tuning in to episode 7. We have here today Jessica Bree. How are you, Jessica?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well. So thank you for joining us. We found this maze of a place in Dallas, but overall, it is lovely.
It is. This is a really nice setup. I love it.
So today, I've gotten even better at my timing and getting things together. So Jessica was very supportive in that endeavor. So in our podcast, the premise is to kind of encourage aspiring entrepreneurs how to kind of step out of their comfort zone and overcome some fears in order that they can make it to the other side. So tell us where you are in your journey right now.
Yeah, of course. So for those who may not know me, I own a cold pressed juice business called Glow Juice Bar. We started about a year and a half ago, and things just kind of like hit the ground running from there, and it just went crazy. So, I was working full time in HR. That's my background. Just recently ended up finishing my master's in HR. And then, COVID kind of hit last March, I believe. And so when that happened, I just kind of like took a turn with my personal health goals. And I was like, I need to really figure out what to do because I don't want to get this. And I know that I need to keep my immune system boosted. Like, what can I do? So I just kind of started like juicing, just personally. And then I would share it with friends and family. And people were just like, oh, my God, I want to juice too. Like, tell me more about it. And so that's kind of how the business started. And so now, as you've known, we're in a coffee shop. We have partnerships with the Pilates studio and, doing a lot of pop-ups, in the community. And so now that that's kind of like found its home, we're really looking to just see what's next and advance to the next level. So that's kind of what I've been doing, just trying to continue to grow it, maybe looking at some storefronts, kind of, figuring out
like next level.
What's next level? Like, this is great, but I am not for comfort at all. So anytime I start to feel a little bit too comfortable and like I kind of like got the flow of things pretty good, I'm like, okay, we need to move things up a notch. So that's kind of where I am now.
That is really, really awesome. So before we dig into like your cold pressed juices, because I love them and I've had them several times and it's just helped me get a lot of clarity in that moment. But before we get to where you are now, I want you to take me back a little further before COVID. Take me back to your background, to possibly school. What exactly was your focus there? Like, were you just in a place where you were just going, seeing yourself being like this HR person that climbed up the ranks or whatever? Before you got to this entrepreneur, like, what was that, Jessica?
Yeah, so I will try to condense it because it can get lengthy.
Yeah.
But I graduated from Baylor, and when I was at Baylor, I was planning to be a nurse. Like, that was what I wanted to do.
Oh, really?
Well, let me back up. That wasn't really so much what I wanted to do, but that's what my mother wanted for me. And I'm an only child, and my mom has always put pretty high expectations on me. And, just like a lot of our parents, like, that generation is very much so you need to be a doctor or a lawyer, this is what you need to do. Entrepreneur knew nothing about that. What's that? Parents work their entire lives. And so, that's just kind of what I thought I had to do. So, I started off as in nursing, and it just kind of wasn't going that well. Like, my grades weren't that good. I was just having fun at school with friends and partying. I was trying, but, my grades just were kind of slipping. And so I wasn't able to do like the traditional, like where you do 2 years on campus and then the last 2 years you go off to the nursing school, which is here in Dallas. So that didn't work out. So I ended up changing my major to something else, graduating. And after that, I was like, you know what, now I'll just go ahead and start applying to some nursing schools and do it this way. So that's what I did. And I got accepted into a nursing school here in Dallas. And so I moved to Dallas in January of 2016.
Okay.
And so, still continuing my journey as, wanting to be a nurse. I still didn't really feel like that's what I really wanted to do, but I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was like, I guess this is just what I'm going to have to do for now. And then 2016 comes around and I get pregnant. And so, I'm pregnant. I'm still in nursing school. At that time, I'm doing my clinicals, and it's just like, this is too much. I'm having to wake up at like 4 a.m., driving out to Arlington. I have a belly. Like, I'm already tired just because I'm pregnant.
Right.
Like, this is just not working out. So eventually I just dropped out, and I was like, I cannot do this. I don't know what I want to do, but like something has to change.
Absolutely.
And my daughter's dad, he's an entrepreneur. So he kind of introduced me to like, the entrepreneur side of things because I didn't know anything about it.
Right.
So I kind of started learning things just, my time with him or whatever. And so just kind of getting out of that time that I was in, it was just a dark time, trying to navigate, okay, I'm not doing nursing anymore. What am I going to do? What do I want to do? So I just had to do a lot of like self-reflection. It took me 2 years, I would say, to like really just focus and figure out what I was going to do with my life. It was not easy at all. And so just through a lot of praying and, the self-reflection and discipline, it finally got me out of a place where I could finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. Still didn't know what to do, but I just kept on like something has to shake, you know what I mean? And so I got a job. It was kind of like a call center environment. It wasn't the greatest, but it was something.
Right.
So, I did that for about a year. And finally, I was like, you know what? I want to go to grad school. Like, maybe I'll just go get my MBA.
Right.
And, just go get into corporate and go that route. Because prior to that, it was all medical nursing, So I was like, let me switch it. Let's try to go the corporate route.
Yeah.
So I finally, applied to some schools. And then I said, I think I'm going to try HR. Like, I think I'd be good at that. Like, I'm great at delegating, managing a whole bunch of stuff, like thinking fast on my toes. Like, that sounds great. So I did that. I got accepted into UT Tyler's online human resource development master's program.
Okay.
I think I started that in like 2019.
Okay.
So yeah, I just started on that journey. I was still working at the other job. I couldn't do that job anymore. I was like, this is so dead end. Like, I can't do this. So I just started applying. And I found a unpaid internship in Granberry, Texas for an HR like assistant. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. Like, something is telling me just do this. It's going to pay off. It's unpaid. But my mom at the time was like, we got you. Like, just do what you need to do. I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it for a little bit, and then I'm going to get some experience, and then I'm going to go apply for like, an HR coordinator position or something. I wanted to still be in the medical field. So that's what I did. I got up every morning. I think I went out there 4 days a week, and it was an hour and a half away.
Wow.
And I drove.
was just about to ask that.
Yeah, it was far. And I drove every morning. I would drop my daughter off at daycare. They opened up super early, and I would drive to Granberry, Texas, and I was not getting paid a single cent.
Yeah.
And I did that for like 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, I was still applying in that process. So I applied for some HR coordinator positions at some hospitals like in the Dallas area. And finally I got one.
Wow, 6 months later.
Yeah. So I got one. It was looking up. I had my own office. Like, it was great. I really liked it. And I started working over there, and things were like looking better. And I'm still like, like I maybe just climb up the ranks, like you said, like become an HR business partner, maybe like an HR VP, like cool. And then that's when COVID hit.
Oh.
And even when I started my own personal juicing journey, it wasn't that I ever was like, oh, I want to open a juice bar or I want to even start a business.
Right. It started small.
It started very small. But like I said, I've always been in tune with my faith and praying, and just like, I just always felt like something was coming and something was next, but I just didn't know what it was.
Right.
And so I just tried to continue, staying up on my praying, my faith, and, believing in God and knowing like something has to change.
Right.
And like I said, I just kind of started my juicing journey, and I guess God intended for me to be a business owner, because another thing I didn't mention, all of the jobs that I had, I never felt fulfilled. Like, I always felt like I would see people around me and everybody seems to be loving their jobs and And I just never felt that way.
Right.
And I'm like, why don't I ever find a home that I really like? And I guess it was because, my journey was just not to, work in corporate or a 9-to-5 job, which there's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's amazing. But, everybody's journey is different and their callings are different. And I think mine was just to be a creator and to be a business owner and just be able to provide certain opportunities to other people and help them on their journey.
Right.
Which is what I've been able to do now that I've started a business. So I think that all of that took me going through to get to where I am today, which is where I finally feel like, okay, I feel like I've finally found my calling.
Awesome. So in thinking about your journey from 2016 to now 2021, what about your habits have changed? So I know that you've kind of put into this business. Well, you've definitely put into the business, and going from just this thought of I need to take care of myself to something that impacts a lot of people. What exactly has changed about your schedule, or has anything changed about your schedule, discipline-wise, or any of that would afford you this opportunity to pour into the business?
Yes. So my thinking, my habits, everything has changed tremendously. Like, I am a total different person than I was back in 2017. Discipline is like so important. Like, I think that's like the most important thing, because it's one thing, like, that you have to get up and do certain things, but you have to do those things when you don't feel like doing it or when it's not convenient for you. And that's what makes people successful. And that's what makes people who, like, you may be better at them at something, but they're disciplined, so they're going to succeed over you.
Right.
So, I started reading a lot of like motivational books, reflection type books, stuff like that. Like, I just got really in tune with myself and like what I really want, the type of person that I want to be and become. I just started getting really, really, really in tune with all of those things. I started trying to create certain habits, like, waking up a little earlier, the smallest things of keeping my house cleaned, trying to, cook and eat at home, which that is one thing I still struggle with, not going to lie.
Right.
But, like the smallest things, just keeping your car clean, keeping yourself looking put together, taking your vitamins, like just doing those really small habits. I started really like overly obsessing over that. Money habits, which I still kind of struggle with, but it's just like the small things I just started obsessing over, because I knew that it was what I needed to become this person, whoever she was supposed to be.
Yes.
I changed all of my habits, my, the discipline factor, all of that stuff shifted. I stopped letting, negativity and drama and things pour into me. Like, I just had to completely X that out of my life and just really only focus on what was going to get me to the next level.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in doing these or reading these self-reflection books, do you have a particular book that gets you through that period? Because like for me, when I was going to school at Baylor and like really struggling, trying to get through, it was like Beyonce's album.
Okay.
And Liz was my roommate, and she was like, she would be on Twitter and she was like, my roommate is playing Beyonce again. And I was just
that
like,
is so
Lord,
funny.
Beyonce is everything. She just got me through. So was there a particular book that you leaned on that was like, yes, I need to implement this?
There's a few. So there's a book called Shift, and I want to say it's by Keon something, but it's called The Shift, and it really put a lot of things into perspective for me. And it's just basically all about shifting your thoughts, shifting your priorities. That book was really good for me, and I still like keep it on my nightstand, and I'll still like go through and read it sometimes, even though I've already read it before. So that book. There's another book called Failing Up, and I think it's by Todd something, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
But
I've heard some of those things, those books.
So that, and there's a few other that I just can't think of, but, just like finding those type of books, and they're easy to find. Just get on Amazon, motivational books. And a lot of them are like, the older books like Dale Carnegie and stuff like that.
Right.
But other than like, aside from the books, like having a person that's kind of like on the same like thinking level as you really helps. So a friend of mine, Felicia, she like has really helped me a lot. Like, we would talk every day. Like, there was periods where we were going through this journey together, and every single day we're talking, texting, like reading books, sending things back and forth to each other, motivational, whatever. Like, and we did this nonstop for like a long time. So I think that also really helped me stay like just on top of things. Just having like someone to hold you accountable is what helps me out a lot.
Good. Shout out to Felicia Fries, right?
Felicia Fries, her wings are the best.
Yes. So this group of people, would you say that the group that you were in before and the group you were with after changed, or were these the same people and the majority of your friends kind of changed with you?
Yeah, the friends kind of change. Like there are certain people that, like I'm not going to say I'm not friends with anyone anymore, but
Right.
there's certain people that I kind of just have to move on forward from, and I wish them well, and it was never any like bad blood, but sometimes you just have to kind of move forward, and that may mean having no friends, or that may mean you get into a new circle of friends. Like it's just whatever works for you. But I would say like the people that I try to surround myself with now are a lot different than back then. And maybe back then I wasn't really focused on that and, certain beliefs, but now I like really focus on the type of people that I'm bringing to like my circle, just so that my energy isn't compromised and like I never deter from my goals, and like everybody's kind of, helping each other on their journey.
So this clarity and this group that you are surrounding yourself by, do you see yourself being attracted to or attracting more of the people that you are hoping to be surrounded by? Is your group enhancing in that manner, adding in people that you did not know before and really getting you where you need to go? Is that like part of your affirmation as to where you're trying to go or be in life?
Yeah, I've noticed that people started like falling into my life randomly. I started meeting people that were doing great things or doing some of the similar things that I wanted to do. I started realizing like it was just like kind of falling into place. And then also certain people that just weren't, supposed to be in my life during this journey, or maybe they were just in another, shift in their life and they just weren't there yet, kind of started to fall off. So there was like a little bit of that going on. So I was kind of like, losing a little bit of people, and then I was also gaining people, but it was happening like really naturally.
Yeah.
And just kind of like on God's timing, like just like things would happen. I'd just be like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Very organic. Is there anybody possibly in Dallas or in this space that you really lean on or you're being mentored by to help you like really keep that goal within attainment? Or is that something that you're looking for?
Yeah, so I would say I still haven't really found just like that mentor, and I try to be my own mentor during that time period until I find someone. But I feel like eventually like God will place that person in my life. My friend Bailey, which she recently moved to Dallas, and so she's definitely somebody that keeps me accountable. Like she's doing amazing, and kind of similar, life goals, and just being motivated and trying to do more and reach our goals. Now that she's here, she definitely helps me kind of stay on track with that, and I kind of have her to. I do kind of look up to her in a sense, just being someone that I've seen, start at the bottom and really just be a go-getter and go out there and do everything that she said she was going to do. So having her here definitely, helps me out a lot for sure.
Okay. I'm going to pause this because